Okay, so yesterday in the last session we saw about image recording, actual image recording, and then reading and writing using image automation actions. So today we will move on to some applications like virtual desktop applications, SAP application, terminal emulators like green screen, mainframe, Active Directory. So these three, as I had mentioned in the orientation session, that they require specialized licenses or setup on your machine. For example, the Active Directory, it requires a server directory setup. So I'll be pointing you out to some resources where you can get some guidance and pointers and help on how to automate these applications. So beginning with virtual desktop applications, what I mean that is sometimes the applications that we are going to automate using our RPA pad bot might not be on the same machine where Power Automate Desktop is installed. It would be on some other virtual machine, a Citrix machine or a remote desktop machine. So that is the scenario we are talking about here. So they are not going to be straightforward, meaning we won't be able to capture the UI element selectors just like a local application. That's why Microsoft has suggested something else for that, and that's what I'm going to show you now. So here's the official documentation page. There are some prerequisites given here, but the main point is about installing the Power Automate agent for virtual desktops. There is a software tool given by Microsoft itself to install it on your virtual desktops. So download the Power Automate agent. It's called the Power Automate agent, the name, for virtual desktops. Alternatively, you can even go from the flow designer and in the tools menu, you can go here where we have the browser add-ins in that menu. Then it has given some sequence of steps on how to install this. Generally, an admin does this, but the main point for you to know is you need to install this agent. And one point you should be knowing is the agent, Power Automate and the agent should be in sync with each other. Only then this works fine. If there are sync issues, you just need to sync it. At that time, you'll come to know if you hear about sync issues are going on, then what you need to do is troubleshoot using the sync approach. Generally, these are all done by the admin. Now comes the part about selectors. So distinguishing UI elements captured on virtual desktops. So after installing this agent, you will be able to capture the UI elements just like a normal application. That is the point. And I don't know if you guys are able to see here. So here it shows RDP, whereas until now when we were automating using the conventional approach, it was showing as local computer. So that is the difference when you capture the selector using a virtual agent or a local machine. And yeah, this is about the syncing. Some technical stuff is there, updating the registry and the diagram, architecture diagram. And apart from that, if you are going to automate it, you need to know the known issues and limitations. So just for to skim through it, is available on Windows RDP, remote app, Citrix desktop, Citrix virtual apps, but it's not available on any other type of virtual desktop app platforms. So these are the types of virtual desktop applications. One of them is famously is the Citrix one. So that is one thing you should know while automating. Let's say your customer comes up with something, they say that they have their application on the remote machine. First, you need to ask which one. Does it support any of these? If yes, then you should tell them that you should do a feasibility study at first. You should do a feasibility check after installing this agent. You should check whether all the selectors are correctly captured or not. Only then go ahead and commit that you will be able to automate it, or at least 70% I'm able to automate. That way you can give them a guesstimate figure. So obviously Power Automate agent for virtual desktop isn't compatible with the home editions. And yeah, whenever you face any issues, you can come here and see if there is a workaround given by Microsoft for any particular issue. And pretty much, yeah, pretty much that was about it. Yeah, one important point. Yeah, it's important to install Power Automate for desktop on the machine where you are developing. That is your local machine. Their pad should be installed and where the execution of your desktop flows will happen. And the Power Automate agent for virtual desktop, that is the agent we are talking about, that should be on the machine where the flow just interacts with the UI automation actions, meaning the second machine, wherever the virtual machine, that should have the agent. Any questions on this one? That is a totally different thing. Okay, the question on the call is login to the RDP. So this is not about login. That's a different concept. I have it further down the course. So what this is like on my machine right now, I have pad opened and a virtual desktop machine is opened. So I need to automate the applications of that machine. That's it. Yeah. The other concept is automatically it will sign in username, password, and then automate it. That's a different concept. I'll show you. Okay, so coming to mainframe terminal emulators, these are the mainframe applications, like also called as green screen applications. So for that also Microsoft has provided some built-in actions. So in the pad flow designer, if you go to the left hand side, you will see some actions related to terminal emulators. Only a few things that you should know is what I'll be telling you now. So there are some, these are the options, I'm sorry, the actions. So obviously you need to open a terminal session. So here micro focus reflection is the application, green screen application. It has got this API DLL. This is all part of the documentation of that application. So you just need to pass the parameters over here. The first action would be open the terminal session, and likewise you have the close also. Then obviously this will be like extracting a text from a screen. It will be that kind of an automation. You won't be using UI elements and selectors. So for that, you have to move the cursor to a particular position. Let's say you have a screen, a mainframe screen, which says name colon John. So you have to find out its coordinates. Generally on that type of applications, at the bottom, the X and Y coordinates and all those are mentioned. So you need to move your cursor, get the text, extract the text from that particular screen, or set something, send keys, usage of send keys, as you know, wait, yeah, or search a text. So these are the only actions for these are different types of green screen applications. IBM PCOM is one of them, widely used. So these are just the names of important DLLs which you need to mention depending on the provider you are using. Yeah, select the appropriate DLL. Opening the terminal session, passing the session name. Yeah, session name should come from the earlier action. Then after opening the terminal session, completing the wanted operations, that is the setting of text, moving of cursor, and then finally close it. That's what the documentation says. And yeah, if I scroll to the very top, what this does is these are links to each of the actions. Let's say I do a move cursor on terminal session. So what input parameters are there? You need to give the terminal session, which we have already configured in these actions. Here it is, the terminal session. Then the rest of the parameters, that is which row, which column you need to access data from. The vertical position of the cursor, the horizontal position of the cursor on the screen. So these type of applications are automated in this way only. It doesn't give selectors kind of approach. So that was it about terminal emulators. Coming to SAP application. So there are a lot of resources about SAP, and there are different ways of automating SAP. One is the GUI approach, the graphical user interface approach. And on the left hand side, what you need to do is you need to go into all the subsections. This is the main category, robotic process automation with SAP. You need to go into SAP, then the prerequisites required for automating in SAP. This is applicable to every tool. You need to enable the client side scripting, server side scripting, all those. Yeah, SAP GUI scripting configuration. What needs to be done is applicable for pad also. Um, if you have been automating these type of applications in the past, you need to open the GUI and This is the T code RZ11. You need to type in, then enter this and set the scripting values as per given here. So everything is mentioned, nothing, you need to go nowhere else. And then all these sections, there is a tutorial also, and low code approach, pro code approach, and no code approach is there. So if you know that SAP can record VB script, the SAP itself has a recorder, and even that will give you a script, and that you can put into your pad scripting actions and then run the code. You can interact with SAP that way. All that is shown in these tabs. And then, yeah, actually you can see here, add variables to your VB script. That is the pro code approach. Then let me click this. In situations, you might even be able to use the recorder and capture elements. So you'll have to explore and try it out which one works best as per your use case, as per your scenario. So yeah, this requires exploring. And one good video tutorial series is given from Microsoft itself, and that's why I have posted it over here. So there are multiple video sessions. They actually show it like a live demonstration on pad. They will be building flows on the pad editor against an SAP application. So that's a good series. You can see 9 episodes are there, and all these approaches are there. I just pause it. So if you can see, 9 videos are there. It will cover everything. So that's what you need to go through, and you'll understand what needs to be done to interact pad with SAP. What do we have next? Then SAP automation actions. Actually, these are the same actions that okay, I'm sorry, that was for terminal emulators. Let's see SAP automation actions. So in the past few months, apart from the other approaches like the VB scripting and the GUI based approach, Microsoft has launched in pad some actions itself to interact with SAP. There are very few as of this date. They are increasing, but yeah, I can see most of them. So launch SAP is an action, and what you can do is mentioned over here, like what each parameter does. First, you need to set up a launch the SAP, obviously, just like Excel and other application. Then attach, create a new SAP session. What parameter does it take? It takes an instance, and how you should pass the instance. Select the variable that holds the SAP instance, just like how we do it for Excel and all. Okay, some caveats are there. SAP GUI doesn't allow more than 6 active connections to an SAP system. So yeah, it requires going through this page, and the actions are the ones mentioned over here. You can, yeah, select the SAP navigation item, the menu item at the top, close the SAP connection. Yeah, as you can see, one SAP UI element click is also there, but sometimes it works, sometimes it does not work, depends on the application or the T code you are interacting with. Get details of SAP UI elements. So they are improving. Microsoft is bringing more and more SAP related actions. Populating of text is also there in a field element. Some UI elements like a table, they require a different kind of automation, like send keys, tab, going to the table, hitting end, or if that table itself can be extracted or exported as an Excel. So if you know that SAP has got some menus at the top, so there find out if there is a direct menu to extract the table itself as an Excel file and then work on that Excel file. So such type of tips and tricks you need to check at first before interacting with going one by one, send keys, tab, enter, and that way. Okay, any questions on this slide? Okay, I'll move ahead. Now this is Active Directory. Just like a big organization or even any small or medium-sized organization has got an Active Directory set up in their, it's now being referred as Entra ID, the ID that is created. Microsoft is calling as ENTRA, Entra ID. So one good thing for this one also is there is a direct tutorial from Microsoft itself. As you can see, I am on unit 1 of 5. So this is Active Directory handling in Power Automate desktop. What are the Active Directory actions? Let me click on that. Same thing, connect to Active Directory server. As you can see, some screenshots are given. So what needs to be filled up is mentioned, what needs to be selected. So through Active Directory, you can do user management, create, modify, update, unlock users, retrieve information from the Active Directory, those sort of actions. Enable, disable, rename, delete, reset password. Yeah, all this tutorial wizard is given over here. So unit 2 of 5. Some exercise is also given. Yeah, it asks you to do something at first. It mentions the steps over here. Add the user to an existing group. That is what it is asking to do. And it mentions like what parameters you need to pass. Yeah, just like a proper tutorial. So that was about Active Directory. And we are now on the last slide. That is the exercise slide for image automation that we went through yesterday. And remaining exercise are the again the same ones, the API. Yeah, go through the SAP video series, the links, the tutorial for Active Directory, explore it. And this will conclude our module 8. So before we move on to module 9, are there any questions on this one? Okay, I yeah, I just highlighted it through the mouse. Did I close it? So whatever actions were mentioned on the screen, creation of user roles, Active Directory is a part of our Windows operating system. So at that time you will and those are mentioned. See, in this example, what is does is creating an Active Directory connection, create a user with some information on the provided details. So it's creating a user. You can see user first name, last name. If within the organization's Active Directory, if you need to create a user, then you need to you need to use these actions. Is it a bit clear now? For example, you join the organization, a new organization, your details will be entered into the Active Directory by your admin system. So pad can automate some of those Active Directory activities. And just by looking at the actions, you'll come to know what all is possible. Obviously, not every single thing is possible, but from the list of actions on the actions pane, you can come to know what all can be automated. And from this tutorial. Yeah. Any other question? Okay. I'll close module 8 and we are on module 9 now. So we are on to module 9 now, that is scaling up and controlling your workflows. Scaling up, like scaling up from desktop to cloud flows. We are now going to make use of cloud flows, where it is going to be used, how it is going to be used, and how to monitor, control, schedule, all those things in module 9. The topics that are going to cover are attended and unattended automation, what they are, making use of the cloud portal of the Power Platform. Remember your introductory module, first module, second module, where we saw the entire umbrella, Microsoft Power Platform and umbrella, and different types of cloud flows, because a desktop flow can be called from within desktop flows can be called from cloud flows, and which are the different types of cloud flows, so that you can know, depending upon your pad use case, which of these cloud flows should I make use of. I'll explain that. Obviously, you will need machine and machine groups if you need to run unattended automation like on some other machine. I'll explain that. The famous concept of work queues, error handling and logging the errors, then monitoring, managing of desktop flows and their accesses. Then once you build it, obviously you'll need to deploy it, and if you need to share it with others, how you will do that, and different supportable features for attended automation. So to begin with, we'll look at the run modes, that is the type of automation, attended and unattended, what these are conceptually. So unattended automation bot runs from a machine or a service. Yeah, if you can see here, I think this is a little bit cut for y'all. I will press escape, and I wanted to show the bottom part of the table. Okay, I'll zoom in a bit. Okay, a designated computer or a server is set up to run the automation on behalf of the user. So this unattended bot will run on its own, either on a schedule from a designated computer or a server, yeah, on behalf of a user, meaning there won't be any user. It will run on its own on some cloud application, cloud server, yeah, a cloud or a server or a machine. That is unattended automation. Whereas attended automation, a human will attend to it. That's why it's called as attended automation. They will run it manually, and it will be initiated by a human. I will just make this full screen so that you can. So, okay. So yeah, differences: unattended automation is fully automated, whereas attended is human initiated. Unattended means no human interaction or decision is required. This requires human interactions or decisions. It is automatically triggered from another system or a service or a schedule. This is manually triggered by humans. Sign-in process is automated. Yeah, in this case, it runs on a different machine in an automated way. Sign-in process is also automated, whereas this sign-in isn't required because the system is already signed on. Just say, for example, I am this user and my machine is now logged in, already signed in, and I have pad on my machine, and I will click the play button on the console and I will run from there in an attended way. I will attend to it. So this is suitable where fully automated processes are required and no human intervention is required. Yeah, it could run 24 by 7 also. No one could intervene. And whereas in attended, it is suitable when you want to automate tasks and process at an individual level. Generally, an individual business user or a citizen developer can use this. Or I want to automate my day-to-day tasks and I can run it on an ad hoc basis whenever I want to. And since this is attended, I can do it like in a partial way. For example, I start the bot, it runs something, it creates an Excel report, then again the bot stops, then a human, that is me in this case, goes to that Excel, changes something onto the Excel, maybe arrange the data in the way that I want it, but it requires human intelligence. A bot cannot do it, so I will do it, and once again I will run another bot and so on. So this is where attended scenarios are there, and you can make use of attended bots. And a designated computer or a server is set up to run the automation on behalf of the user. A separate dedicated machine is registered, and we'll see that, and the bot will run on those machines, one or more machines, and this generally runs on the same machine as the user. Clear with attended and unattended concept? Okay, so let's move on. Now we are on to cloud portal and the different types of cloud flows. This is the URL which we also saw in the beginning sessions, but to make a note of, it's make.powerautomate.com. It will open the cloud portal of Power Automate, and the different types of cloud flows are an automated cloud flow, instant cloud flow, and a scheduled cloud flow. Now, what is an automated cloud flow? It is triggered by a designated event. And what that event is, it is an automated event. An event means when an email arrives at your inbox, that is one event. When a file is added to OneDrive, that is one event. When a file is modified, when a row is updated on SharePoint, let's say, that is another event. So all these events, when they happen, when they are triggered by someone, by some other person or by a bot or anything, then you can call a desktop flow using this automated cloud flow. Then in that case, you will use this type of flows if such a automated designated event is already there. But whereas if you want to instantly run a cloud flow, which further calls a desktop flow at ad hoc basis, like I just want to click a button and run it whenever I want to, in those cases, I will use an instant cloud flow triggered manually as needed. And lastly, a scheduled cloud flow, as the name suggests, is scheduled. It's on a scheduled basis, meaning you can set up the date and time and the time zone when you want to run this cloud flow, and further it will call the desktop flow inside it. We will see a glimpse of it because cloud flows are not a part of our course. We'll see how at least the part where the cloud flows can connect with desktop flows. For that, what you need to do is, I'm going to explain in this slide. You need to register a machine or a group of machines, and you need to establish a desktop flow connection also. Let's first check out the machine part. So this is the registering a machine part documentation from Microsoft. If you recall, while installing pad itself, there was install the machine runtime app. Now I have a Windows Home Edition, so I won't be able to show you, but I guess someone in the call had it. So when you click the start menu, you can type machine runtime. You can see that app, and yeah, this is the start menu. And if you type machine runtime, so Power Automate Machine Runtime is the name of the app. You sign in with the required environment and login. Environment, tenant, or let's say dev, test, prod, whatever it is. You sign in it just like how you do it to pad, and then you will see this particular screen. Yeah, this is an enlarged. So you can see Power Automate Machine Runtime, name of the app. So it has got machine settings, machine group, troubleshoot. So in this drop down, it will automatically show the list of environments, just like how you have the environment for pad, how you used it. Now, if you go to the next screen, yeah, this is further the next screen in that app. So this has been blurred by Microsoft. So in the drop down, some machine environment is selected and a particular machine is registered, and it shows us connected with that particular environment and the machine details, that is the machine name. So it's a simple process. If everything is properly configured by your IT, by your admin, then it's just selecting the environment and the required machine. It will work automatically. You can edit the details, and again you can view the machine in the portal. So when you click on this, it will take you to the cloud portal, and on the left hand side you will see a machines tab over here. If you don't see, click on the more button here, just like I do, and scroll over here and you can see machines. Even then, if you won't see that, click on discover all, there you will find it. But the registration should happen through the machine runtime app. Later on, even you can create groups over here. If you have registered multiple machines, you can create a group of machines from this tab. And again, you can go to the portal and view the machine and the machine group on the cloud portal also. Then the third tab here is to troubleshoot. The troubleshoot just gives you some diagrams sent to Microsoft in case of troubleshooting, debugging. It will capture logs and all the information about your pad version, etc., what the error was. So you can make use of that. So for more details, you can go through the link that I have shared for machine. The title is Managing Your Machines. It's register a new machine and trigger a desktop flow. I'll take you to that right now. And then after that was create a desktop flow connection. So yeah, we were on this part. Once registered, you can immediately create a connection in your cloud flows. So after registering the machine, because while creating a connection, while calling a desktop flow, you need a machine. So there are two ways to connect to a machine, either using the username password or using a sign in, which is used for attended runs. Now what those are explained over here. Now what this portal is, it's the connection tab of the cloud portal. Let me take you there. So you can see connections over here. Again, if you are not able to see connections on this tab, go to more and then see if it's available here. If yes, then pin it so that it will be available next time onwards from the connections tab. So in the connections tab, you will be able to see all types of connections that your cloud flows or desktop flows are using, be it SharePoint, OneDrive, or another machine, in this case like the one I'm talking about, even a connection to a machine. All that will be available in the connections tab as seen over here. In this case, some Azure blob storage is used, so a connection is there. So you can manage the username passwords from it. You'll have to log in and create a connection only once, and then you can start using them in your cloud flows or even desktop flows. So that was the creating the connection, but the first option here is connect using username password. You through these screens. So since I don't have that machine runtime app and I'm using a Windows Home, so I won't be able to show you the screens. It won't even bring up those screens for me. So simply connect with a username password, and as you can see, machine or machine group. So the machine that you had registered on your machine runtime app will automatically show up here. You can read this note. If you don't see a machine on machine group, you can register just like the way I showed. So you can, if again there is a credentials tab over here, let me click. It must be in the discover all because it has recently been, yeah, I can see credentials. If I pin it, it will show up over there. So managing the credentials. So if you can even create a desktop flow connection using credentials. So once you go into the credentials tab of your cloud portal, set up your credentials using either Azure Key Vault or using CyberArk. That is a different approach. I'll mention about credentials later. But once you create a credential there, yeah, some information about that is also given over here. See, you using Azure Key Vault and CyberArk, go down further these links and you will see. So in the drop down, it will automatically show up which credentials you have, and you just need to select that credential. That was option 1. Or option 2 is directly entering the username and password. Once you select the machine or machine group, it will ask for the domain and username of your machine, or I'm sorry, of the machine where you want to connect to. That is where you want to run your desktop flow, username, password, and that's it. This is create a connection using for attended runs only. So if I'm running it for on my own machine, that is a different approach, and that is what is mentioned over here. Any doubts about what we discussed so far? Is your doubt clear, Kirtish, about the connection to machines, username, password? Did you say yeah or no? Yeah, I mean, does this clarify about the question like connecting to a machine and where do you give username, password, the question that you had earlier? It's done while registering the machines using this approach. Okay. And the create the desktop flow connection. That is what I showed just now using the sub link. Now what we will do is calling a desktop flow via these different types of cloud flows that I mentioned in the earlier slide. These ones, we will take a quick glimpse from the cloud portal. Yeah, so that you can get an idea. And okay, so if you go to the create tab, there you will see the types of flows: the automated cloud flow, instant cloud flow, scheduled cloud flow. Now let me show you automated cloud flow. You give a flow name. I just type in automated cloud. So an automated cloud flow, as I just explained, requires an automated trigger. And here you can give those types of triggers. There are plenty of them. So this is OneDrive for Business. When a file is created on OneDrive, you can select this trigger. If you want your flow to run when this happens, that is when a file is created on OneDrive, you can choose this one. When an item is created in SharePoint, when an item is created or modified in SharePoint, there are multiple triggers. Yeah, when a new email arrives in Gmail. The most widely used for RPA is when a new email arrives in your Outlook inbox. Let's check out what do we have related to Outlook. Yeah, when a new email arrives, this one, when a new email arrives, version 3, you will select that and click create. So this is the new designer that Microsoft has released. It has been quite some time now, but most people are accustomed to the old type of designer, and that you can toggle it on and off from here. So because I chose a trigger, it automatically gave me this connector over here. Now, if I would have created a connection in the connections tab that I showed earlier for Outlook, then it wouldn't have shown me invalid connection. But no issues, even when you can go into this connector and create a connection also from here. Now I've clicked it. So these are Outlook related. You just need to set the parameters like to CC from, yeah, and that has to be done after you set up a connection. The connection part is here. Can you guys see my mouse change connection? Yeah, so right now it is not connected. If you did not connect it from the connections tab, you can come here and click on change connection and set up a connection to your Outlook. It will ask your Microsoft username and password or whichever email account. So we are not going to see that part. That is part of cloud flows. The one that I want to show you is an email arrives in your inbox, and if I type in desktop, This is where my RPA piece starts. So there is a connector called as run a flow built with Power Automate for desktop. It's a premium connector. I need to select it, and it will further ask again those same things that I mentioned earlier. The name of the connection, and connect using either using username and password or using a sign in attended mode. If you remember, I showed you earlier. So if you did not create a connection using the connections tab approach so you give username, password, and in this drop down, it will automatically show you the list of machines and machine groups that you had already configured from the runtime machine runtime app. Okay, and then if you use the username password approach, you just need to add the credentials over here and create new. It will create a connection. Now I won't be able to do that. As soon as you created this connection, which is a one-time activity, in a drop down you will be able to see all the list of desktop flows, and for that I am showing it to you in the form of a screenshot, this one. Yeah, so this is the connector. After filling up all the connection details, the machine details and everything, that is a one-time activity, it will start showing you these parameters: the desktop flow, whatever desktop flows you have in your environment, the access that you have, those will show up in this drop down. Simply select your desktop flow. Run mode, I have explained it to you, attended or unattended mode. Priority, it's optional. You can give high, medium, low priority of the flow. You can leave it. The new input, do you guys remember? It was the input variable that we had created in this particular desktop flow, whatever name we gave here. So that is the new input parameter. Let's say your desktop flow had three input parameters as name, age, and city. So three different boxes and labels will be shown here as name, age, and city. This was for input variables. Likewise, if your Power Automate desktop flow has got output variables, the output variable coming out of this connector will be the one that you used in your desktop flow. Are you guys able to correlate now, calling a desktop flow from a cloud flow? Okay, so the one that I showed you now was a automated cloud flow. Instant cloud flow is simply nothing but you just simply, there will be a run icon, a play icon. You will start from there. So I'll go back to my list of flows. So in my flows, I should be able to see all the flows that I have built in cloud, whereas there is another tab for desktop. Okay, I don't have anything for cloud flows, but if I go and create, it's in my different ID, not in this ID. So as soon as you create an instant cloud flows, save it and come back here in the main flows, you will see the list of flows just like the way how you have for the desktop flows on the console. You will see like this a list and a run icon. You will see the same thing in my flows section, and from there you will instantly run your instant cloud flow. Whereas if you use a scheduled flow, the third type of flow, it will run automatically as per the designated schedule that you have given. Let me show you that part because you can see a few things. If I use a scheduled cloud flow, this is what it is. You give a flow name, you give the date, the time, yeah, repeat every how many hours, minutes, second, days, weeks. So this is the schedule. If you go ahead and create it, again that will show up in your list of my flows. But since it's a scheduled cloud flow, it will run on its own course. It will run on its own designated schedule. Clear with the three different types of flows, and within those flows you can call a desktop flow. Now are you able to correlate everything? Calling a desktop flow from a cloud flow using three different types of flows. Okay, good. Now we will move on to a concept called as work queues. This is there in every RPA tool. So what exactly are work queues? Work queue is a queue of work where work refers to a work item or a case or a record or a transaction. So you can visualize perhaps one row of an Excel file or one case or one transaction. So like that, there is a concept called as work queues built within the platform, within RPA tools. And why do we use them? Wherever quite some amount of volume of data is there and you need to process them, you can use work queues in those cases. Secondly, wherever work queues allow prioritization of queue items, so within the queue, each item of the work queue, you can prioritize the items. Let's say you have a service level agreement for a ticketing system you're automating. You need to process certain transactions at first by giving it a higher priority than the other transactions later on. In such cases, work queues are used. You can push a queue item to a later stage for processing. For example, a financial transaction is waiting for some input. For example, some bank transaction is happening, but you need some input from some user or maybe some other system that you don't want it to process today. You need to process it after 2 days. So you defer it or push back that queue item to those many days. Then work queue helps us in workload balancing and workload management. You can have multiple bots assigned on the same queue. It gives you the accurate status of the processed or the failed items. Now you can mark the individual work queue items as successfully failed, successfully processed or failed. You can even give a detailed description of the error that happened so that anyone, the onlooker, the manager or the client, the customer, anyone can get a centralized view of the queue and what are its benefits, because before we move on to how they are created and interacted with. Okay, good. So interacting with work queues, I'll be showing it to you in a form of a demo, the creation of a work queue. But before that, you need to know the concept of dispatcher and performer. This is used in PAD. It's actually not a Microsoft concept. I haven't found this concept anywhere in the documentation, but you can call it in other RPA tools also. Simply, a dispatcher flow means a flow that is responsible to add the items to the queue, that is dispatch the items to the queue. Whereas a performer is the one that processes the items of the queue. Yeah. And I'll be showing you updating the work queue items, success and failure scenarios, and how to filter the queue items. Let's head on to the pad tool to see some demo. So this dispatcher and performer can either be two subflows or it can be two desktop flows. I repeat again, it can be two desktop flows itself, the dispatcher and the performer, or it can be one desktop flow having two subflows. I am going to show you the latter part, that is having two subflows for ease of explanation. I'm creating a new flow and this is mod 9. Create. Okay, our new flow has been opened. Now let me navigate to the work queue set of actions so that you can know what they are. And this diamond icon over here represents it's a premium feature. You should have a premium license for using work queues. So the action that we want now is to add a work queue item. Before that, since this is adding, and that is done only through the cloud portal. So I go to the more button and find out if work queue is available in this section. Yeah, I pin it and click on work queue. That's why I added work queues in this section, because we are now scaling up our flows to cloud section. You can create it only from cloud. Some earlier created queues will show up over here. Now the one that we want is through the new button. You give a work queue name. Let's see, work queue naming convention mod 9. Yeah, let me do this as caps. Optional description, work queue key. It's again, you can give, may not give. I'll just show you its description. The field that is used to map an individual work queue item so that you can use it bulk data in other cases. We don't need it generally, so I'll leave it for now. And you can set its default expiration date from here itself. Let's say you don't want this work queue after a certain period, then you can allow the work queue items to expire from here. Schema type, no need to worry right now. JSON schema or XSD, nothing can take a look at it later on what the description says. The main part is the expiration and the auto retry, generally done for work queue items. If you want to auto retry items, you can give a count over here, and then while the queue is processing, do you want to allow the updating of items? You can toggle it from here. We'll do a simple creation. You just need to fill in those parameters, and I'll show you where those parameters reflect. A queue by this name has been created, and I should be getting its name over here. I'm waiting for it. There it is. Work queue mod 9 is our queue. It shows active or created and the retry count, variable, parameter, items expire, who created it, when. Yeah, once it starts running, you will see different even graphs and charts created over here, the different statuses of the queue, how many items are there in queued status, the count of that. Visual access part over here. To you guys, I will leave those sections. Only the important part I will explain it now. Now that our work queue is created, we will head on to our desktop flow, and now we can make use of the add work queue item action. Why did I do that? So that in this drop down, I will be able to see my recently added work queue, that is work queue mod 9. Now I'm adding my items to the queue. What status do I want? Do I want it queued or on hold? Because I'm adding it to the first time. For the first time, I'll use queued. Priority again, as I said, priority you can set high, normal, low. Keep it normal. So the name again is for individual work queue items, custom name to identify. Click on the I information icon. Custom name to identify the new work queue item. So the individual line items that are going to be held inside this work queue, that record can be given a name. And I'll show you with a live example. For now, I'll close it, otherwise it will throw errors that parameters are not filled up. So generally, what do we do while queue processing? We add data from an Excel onto the queue and then process the queue. So this is the work queue exercise file kept in your exercises folder, and it's nothing but our Contoso details, the account, the email, the ID, and so on, the date. I'll just show you quickly so that we can, while adding items to the queue, you will be able to correlate. Yeah, these 5 items are there, and I'll keep this temporarily opened. I'll do a Control Shift C. Now we obviously need to read the data from the Excel that I just showed before populating it into the queue. Launch Excel is the action in question. I am suddenly starting to see Copilot over here. It was not there earlier. So this is what I mentioned, that Microsoft releases it in a staggered manner. Probably it identified that we are working on many flows since the last few weeks, and that's why it has given Copilot. It was not there earlier. Let me show it to you. Let me highlight you. Do you guys remember I have always been telling you 3 tabs over here? Today I can suddenly see a Copilot tab over here. What do you guys say? Yeah. So we'll see that in the AI features and capabilities course class. Now coming back to the Excel, using the document whose path I have just copied, remove the double quotes, and I'll just keep it read only. I don't need to do anything with the Excel, just read the data from it for now. I'll save it, and obviously you will need to first activate the sheet, but I will do a read from Excel worksheet directly. That's the instance, read all available, and Excel data is what I want. Cell, first train contains header. That's it. My is done because I'm going to get a data table with all the required data. So I will close my Excel now. You guys are master now in interacting with Excel. I do not save the print. So Excel data is the data table variable. Now coming back to our queue part. So this is where the performer and the dispatcher section into different subflows is what I was talking about. I will name this as dispatcher because I am dispatching the items from the Excel onto the queue. It opens a new subflow, and let's go to the work queue group of actions. I can simply search it at the top, but I want your eyes to be on the actions so that it's hammered onto your head with the group of actions. So add work queue item. And once again, sorry, I need to loop through that data table so that only then I'll individually be able to add the items into the queue. Value to iterate is obviously the Excel data. Current item. And now add work queue item should be called. Work queue name is work queue mod 9, queued normal, so the name. So we had seen current item is the variable, and in the Excel we have a column called as account. So what we will do is we will give the account as the unique identifiable item for individual work items. That is why what the name was. I'll hover my mouse again, custom name to identify the new work queue item. So each individual work queue item will be recognized by this. So I will show you on the cloud portal when this populates. So current item of account is where I'm going to get the account. Now what do I need to insert into the queue as different work items? That will be configured in the input parameter over here. Yeah, the data which belongs in the value column to be processed. So this takes a JSON which opens a curly brace, and again in a key value pair I should add these items in a form of a JSON. So just so that we don't do a back and forth to this Excel, I will copy that and paste it over here and then build my JSON query. So this JSON, always it's the key is with double quotes followed by a colon. Then obviously whatever is going to come from the Excel data as current item, that will be the date of the first row. So I paste it over here and enclose double quotes. Same thing for account. Let me do it this way. Next is my account. I'm sorry, date. This should be the date. Date, then account, then contact. After that, there is the status. So I was referring to this line and building that, so I'll remove it and let's come back to the curly brace, and this is what you have. And JSON, they have to be separated by a comma, so I'll add a comma to these. Yeah, let me see if all looks good syntactically. Date, account, contact, and status. Yeah, expires. I hover my mouse. You can give an expiration date time if you want, otherwise it will contain no expiry. This will override the expire that was mentioned in the cloud portal where I showed you on the right hand side, the expire and the retry. So this will override that feature. When the delay until is there, if you want to defer an item, you can delay it. We'll leave it. Processing notes, if you want to write it optionally, any instructions, let's say adding that over here, that will come as processing notes. Or let's leave it for now because that's straightforward. Yeah, has unique ID or reference. Now let's say your Excel had some unique column, something like a serial number. You could make use of that by enabling this toggle over here and give that as a unique ID or reference over here. Right now we'll leave it as it's optional. You can work with the queue just with this much information. And what is the output variable? New work queue item. I just hit on save. So we will be iterating and we should run our main flow and we should call our dispatcher. I can do it from here. Yeah. Let me just verify. Add items to queue. Looks good. Okay, let me make the delay as 1 to make it a bit quicker. And let's see. Yeah, it went ahead. It went into the dispatcher. It's adding the queue items. Observe the new work queue item. It is giving a unique ID. We have 5 columns and 7 rows in the data table. Looks like it has processed. Yeah, flow is complete. Let's go to our work queue, and in the items section is where you should be able to see the individual work queue items. There it is, items, and I do a refresh here. It's updating something, or you can toggle the auto refresh also. Perfect. 5 items have been added to the work queue exactly as we had given in the JSON input. So now can you correlate the name part was the account? It's now uniquely identifying each row with the account. This is the enqueued date time. Then the status is obviously we selected queued because we were entering it for the first time. Priority was normal. We didn't give any expiry date, delay until. This is our JSON. If I click on it, it will open up and show me the details of it. This is what we added, dynamically took from the Excel data table, each individual record. Then processing notes, we left it blank. As I said, it's just whatever you write it there, it will come up over here. And yeah, these should be retry count was 0. And from the using the edit columns button, you can add, remove columns, whichever you want or don't want. Yeah. So we have added the values. Now we will process this with the help of a performer. Performer, again go back to the work queue list of actions. What do you have is process work queue items is obviously the one we want. What does it have? The name of the work queue, WQ mod 9, and the individual items are going to be called work queue. Will build a loop like structure. Yeah, an end automatically came up over here. So inside this, the processing will happen. So now you will update the individual work queue item. Or before that, let me show you how to access the individual items. So we have this work queue item named variable, and yeah, JSON to custom object. Okay, I'm just wondering, do I have the necessary variables to show you? Okay, so this was the work queue item variable that I've just mentioned, which will be running in that loop, outer loop. And inside that, we have something called as dot value. So I will be showing you after this is populated, but you need to take work queue item dot value in order to process its individual items. Now we will get a JSON as custom object of that individual value, and we will put a breakpoint on one item and see what do you get. So right click, run from here. Yeah, so work queue item. Now individual work queue item is what I took, and if you can see now those are populated. And if you remember, I took dot value, work queue item dot value. That is the one that holds the JSON. That is why I took work queue item dot value and passed it into this, and this should convert a JSON as a custom object. Can you see now how very well in a structured manner we have individual items of that queue now in a custom object type of variable. And now you know how you can access this. Let's say now you want to take each individual items and call Contoso application and add your variables into those text boxes. Are you able to correlate now? Okay. I uh, I'll stop the flow part over here, otherwise it will run all the other items of the queue also. There are just very few minute things remaining. I'll show you that. So if I refresh this queue, observe the status. Yeah, this became processing because that is the one we just fetched now. It's a first in first out approach. So this one is in processing mode, whereas all others are in queued mode. Now we have individual items in the form of a data table. JSON as custom object. Let me pull that variable. JSON of custom object and into bracket date, account, contact. Now I'm going to show you how to update a queue item with some successful scenarios and error scenarios. Both together I'll be showing you. Okay. If you observe the Excel, I have left the amount part intentionally blank for two of the rows. And now what we are going to do is we are going to now already our data from Excel is already inside a work queue. From that work queue, we will check whether the amount is blank or not. And if it is blank, we will skip that with some error reasons. And whereas if it's filled up with some value, we will mark it as a success. So both scenarios we will take together and run the entire queue at once. So for that, obviously update work queue item is one thing that is required. So what is our variable? It's the work queue item. Take work queue item. So right now I'm considering a successful scenario. So here you have different statuses: processed, generic exception, IT exception, business exception, processing timeout. I'll take a processed one. Input, I can leave it blank. Processing notes, let's say successfully processed. This is a positive scenario. Now obviously I will need an if case to check whether that amount, JSON as custom object, if JSON as custom object of amount is empty, then I will need a else condition because that's a failure scenario. I'll just drag it in the positive part because this is a successful scenario. If the amount is empty, then I'll need another update item. This time I will change the parameters and instead of processed, I will make a business exception, because business exception means you should not retry it. In this case, if amount is not there is no point in retrying it. Someone needs to manually re-intervene and add some amount to it and proceed further. And this one, amount value not given. I have given a processing notes with a business exception, and this is the success scenario. Let me see if some action I can show you it to you now itself. I believe they are not needed. So we should be able to run the queue now. I'll right click, run from here, watch our queue now. Auto refresh is on. You should start seeing some statuses over here when it starts picking next items. Can you see? Second one is processing now. I hope I don't have an error. Oh, did I miss something? Did I not add amount in the JSON itself? Did I miss the amount? Let's see. Let's see if we missed anything here. Ah, there it is. Good. Good troubleshooting. So the amount field itself was not there, and amount perfect comma is there. There are 5 fields, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, spelling is right. Semicolon, single quote, right? Okay. No issues. What we will do is the entire flow from start to end. I'll show you few activities that you can do with the work queue also. I select all, click on delete. I delete all the queue items because we are going to re-enter it from Excel. Until then, let me call the dispatcher also. I'm sorry, let me call the performer also after the dispatcher. It will read the Excel, close it, call the dispatcher, then call the performer. Do we have any breakpoint? I'll remove it. No, I don't have. Let's go to the main and buy now our items. Hopefully, no, not yet deleted. Okay, they are deleted. Great. Okay, as soon as as it goes into the work queue, at that time I will switch the window. Now I'll play it from here. I can see an Excel open in a taskbar. It's reading into the data table. Closed it. Run the first subflow. Add the items into the work queue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Come to the performer. Oh, I need to. It's going into different cases, so I'll just refresh this. There it is. Processed. There was one business exception. Processed. I believe this is also a business exception. Let's see. There goes the second business exception and processed. All the items of the queue are processed. Now watch this second last record. Amount value not given were our processing notes. So now any support team person can come in and see what was wrong with this, correct it, fix it, rerun, change the status of the queue items. Yeah, so you can change the status of the queue. Okay, let's do one thing. We'll use the same status. So from here you can change the status, change queue item status. From processed you can mark it to queued again. Let's say for some reason you want to requeue it. The support person can mark it to queue, hold or anything. So I'll do on hold for one item because I want to show you something. One item is on hold. Now we come to other actions. See, process work queue items we have already seen, update work queue item we have seen, add work queue item also we have seen in the dispatcher. What add multiple work queue item does is you can obviously add multiple items as the name suggests, but the parameter it takes is a data table. I intentionally did not show you because it was simpler. I wanted you to learn the bigger part of the process. So if you can see, you give the name of the work queue and the work queue item data. I hover my mouse, the data table that contains all the work queue items that will be added. So that is the, you can do a bulk upload. So update work queue item processing notes is another action. You simply give the name of the work queue item, and if you want to change the processing notes part, that you can do with this action. Again, a simple one. So get work queue items by filter. That is what I'm going to show you now because we have turned one item to on hold. And there is a different approach to do this. Get work queue item by filter. Okay, I have to select the work queue. Now filtering of rows is required. Now what the syntax it requires is there is something called as fetch XML. It's a programming way. You give an XML and that is what I'm going to show you of how you can filter the parameters based on the query that you give. So fetch XML is what you need to use here. All right, so fetch XML is what I was mentioning. This is the way you need queries. So this is an example given by Microsoft in the documentation. So I'll explain what it does. The filter tag, it uses the AND operator, meaning there are two conditions given and it uses the AND condition between these two conditions. So the attribute is expiry date with an operator on or before, and this is the value for that date. This condition and the second condition, that is the name, is equal to this will be filtered using this syntax, and then the order is the order by, just like how you have an SQL descending order by expiry date. This is the syntax to give. All right, so clear with this particular syntax? Okay, so when you can see the list of query operators in this link. Query operator means this one, EQ, and the list of attributes is what I'm going to show on a work queue item table, because we are interacting with a work queue. Okay, so these are the fields of the work queue, these column attributes. Okay, I'll just allow the page to load and scroll. So what we need is actually the state code. The state code is the one that describes the status, that is queued, processed, exception, etc. Can you see only the display name is status here? In the cloud portal, in the work queues, the name, display name of that column was status here, but we need the inner name. So what is its inner name? Its inner name, logical name, is state code. So we are going to make use of state code, and let's come to its statuses. So 0 is for queued, and we are going to fetch only the on hold type of items. So we want 3. So we want our query to form in such a way where state code is equal to 3, right? So let me come back to our query and build a query similar to that. Okay, I'll maximize this. Filter rows. I don't need an AND operator because I'm only using one condition. I'll remove the first one. Condition, my attribute, I just found out that it's called as state code, where state code EQ for equal to a value of 3. Now let's check this out. Let me do a quick look to see if anything is there in the advanced section that I should be mentioning. Advanced, okay, the number of rows to return. If you have a large volume, you can make use of this, or let's say in our case it's just 5, so we can have a lower number. The variable produced is the work queue items. Now let's run this. Work queue items should be the last variable. Yeah, it has fetched something, list of work queue items. If I go to more, now can you see it has fetched the one that had a state code of on hold. Only one record it has fetched, otherwise it would have had 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Clear with this? How to filter records from a work queue? Okay, you can even use priority, even other delay until date, and build your fetch XML query as per that. Now this same query I used in get work queue items by filter. I can use that in this action also while processing the work queue items, that is present in the advanced section. Can you see a filter rows box over here? So this same box, I can mention that fetch XML query. Okay, and this toggle will override any auto retry configuration that we did while creating the work queue. Clear with this? Okay, so requeue item with delay was the last action in the work queue categories. As the name says, you can simply add a delay until a date time. Yeah, and let's say if you want to still expire it after a certain number of days, you can add that over here, date time, and some processing notes with some text over here. That's it. So I believe we have covered all work queue related operations. Let me just do a quick check. There should be a exercise also for the work queue. Now what you need to do is make use of work queue, read it from that Excel that is already there in the folder. Already you have been doing it in other exercises. From the Excel, put it into the work queue, and from the work queue Now add those items onto the Contoso application, insert it there so that you will be able to know how to read and write items and interact with the work queue. Now let me show you, let me give you a guideline where you are going to do. I've already spoken about it. So once you access the individual items, once you get it, you can have different variables over here like amount, contact, and what all are there in the date is there in the Contoso application. All those where you can form as variables, and then from here you can either create a new subflow, which is the best practice for calling a update data to Contoso. You can have a subflow, and from here you can individually call items, pass items to that subflow, and inside this update data to how modularizing your subflow will work here. And once you get the call back from the subflow, depending on whether it's a success or not, you can update the queue item accordingly. Clear with what I explained and the exercise also? Any questions? Okay. So this one has got a XLSX file in the assignment folder. Okay. So since we have finished all work queue related operations, we will stop here today and continue with the remaining actions tomorrow. And let me know if you have any questions, queries, comments for today's call, any previous exercises, any topics. Else we can close for the day and meet tomorrow. Great. Thank you. Thank you. Bye guys. Bye. See you tomorrow. Bye. Bye.